Go.
No.
All right, we're gonna start the meeting, first meeting of November. We have,
No, I didn't expect it.
yeah, we have two trustees, we have fiscal officer who just walked out, we have road administrator, we have welcome guests, we have Fourth Estate visiting us tonight too. This is big. Welcome, everyone. We'll begin in We have two sets of minutes to approve this evening. One is minutes meeting, like I said, minutes, but I guess they both are, from October 21st, 2019. Is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve as hand corrected.
Okay. I'll second that. Any further discussion regarding those minutes? Hearing none, may we vote, please?
Mr. Mutcher?
Yes.
Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
I then have minutes from a special meeting October 31st, 2019. Is there a motion to approve those?
I so move.
I'll second that. Any further discussion regarding that special meeting minutes? Hearing none, may we vote, please?
Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
Mr. Mutcher?
Yes. Now, entertain a motion to approve payment of bills in the amount of $58,745.67. Broken down, general fund, $4,022.65. Fire fund, $18,524.72. Cemetery fund, $498.05. EMS billing fund, $7,840.46. And road and bridge, $24,274.37. And capital project, $1,850.60. Is there a motion to approve?
I so move.
I will second that. Any further discussion regarding payment of those accounts? Well, by golly, there is one. Now that I thought about it. We were presented a warrant for $1,850.60 for Bowser and Warner, Inc. And that was for work that was performed 10/8/19 at the new Township Fire location at 1001 Avenue in Yellow Springs. And that invoice was $628. And it was accompanied by a very detailed invoice of the work performed and the amount of the unit hour and mileage rates. And then we were given another invoice in the amount of $1,222.60 for, let's see, this is the Chipotle building at 1551 US Route 68 in Bell Fountain.
Oh.
And there was a lot of work that was done there too. I guess they did a good job. I didn't get a chance to go up and see it,
It's
but
been kind, pay for that bill for,
that was mighty generous of you, but
yeah.
So you're suggesting that they sent the wrong bill?
Mm-hmm.
I suggest they sent one anyway. And
We'll fix that.
good. So the total of the 58,745.67 would be minus a 1222.38. I think that's what
And that's in the capital project.
Mm-hmm.
12/22/60, yeah.
All right, any further discussion regarding paying those accounts?
Well, why don't we then summarize, that is the total, instead of 58,745.67 would be what?
Oh, whatever her calculator spits out when she
Yeah,
does this.
46,
well, yeah, I can try
Five.
it now.
2307.
Okay. May we vote, please?
Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
Mr. Mutcher?
Yes. Let's see, correspondence for the period. I'm gonna do it the other way. We have a letter from our prosecuting attorney requesting from Wright State immediate payment in the amount of $63,648.04 for delinquent tax taxes that were assessed to the property that Wright State sold us in 2017, which we're building a firehouse on, and they conveniently didn't tell us about a pending determination for back taxes, and so we are requesting payment of those taxes forthwith. Plus, we got a final determination letter for the same property from the Ohio Department of Taxation, which basically says we will not be granted a tax exempt status on that property until that $63,000 back taxes is paid, and we will be assessed an additional $17,000 every 6 months until we pay the amount off. So,
Hopefully some kind of payment.
yeah. I guess this would go with fire department. We then,
Could I ask about that?
Certainly.
Do you have any sense of how this might get resolved? We're beginning to see
Well-
big bucks.
there's three ways, let's say, we might get it resolved. One is, Wright State will make that payment to the treasurer of Greene County, and so that will wipe the back taxes off, and then we can make a new application for tax exempt status, and that'll go through the system, and then, we'll be happy. Or two, we'll have to, as they say, fight it out in court, to make Wright State make that payment. The problem is, as you can well imagine, that as we wait for all of that to work its way through the courts, and who knows how many appeals, then this tax bill just continues to accrue, and you would assume that, the courts would agree with us at some point, and Wright State would be on the hook to pay all the back taxes at whatever point that would be. I guess there's a outside possibility that, and it doesn't, reading this, see, the section of the Ohio Revised Code is on the back of this letter that they sent, and it's very cut and dry, black and white, that that's the system, that you pay the taxes before you get a chance to, and I really doubt that there's any wiggle room in there, but there might be a way that, that we could explore that a little more, in a little more depth, so. So Steve Haller is going to pursue it that way, and we might be able to pursue some other avenues. But in any event, Wright State's.
Yeah, it's two different public entities.
When you did the deed, did it say anything in the deed about
Nothing.
taxes?
And this was 2 months before the determination.
All right.
So there was nothing on the deed, there was nothing on the tax book.
Notice sometimes on deeds it says who's responsible to the taxes up to, the date of transfer or something.
Yeah, and it does say that, I mean.
Oh, it does say that?
Yeah, Wright State's responsible for them up to
Oh,
the
okay.
date of transfer, and then we're
So-
responsible after
So they're
that.
just being negligent, so to speak.
Yeah, or, or saying, it's not our property anymore,
Okay.
if taxes are due on it, it's the property owner.
It seems to me that if you decide to go the course of trying to force Wright State to pay, you ought to just pay them and get reimbursed by Wright State if you're successful.
Mhm.
Then all the fees don't accumulate.
Yeah.
And that would be the safest thing to do, because the worst case scenario is you pay them anyway.
Yeah.
Some debate is that Wright State would be even less likely to pay.
The Wright State doesn't care, obviously. I mean, I don't know, the way I look at it, why would they be any less likely than they are now to pay? I mean, why aren't they paying now? Because they don't want to.
It could be that this letter is sitting in somebody's inbox and no one knows it.
Okay, we do
Well, the
have the
letter was just
experience
sent
with Wright
yesterday.
State that it takes a while to get the right person to act. So I guess you could use that experience in purchasing the property to try to nudge Wright State,
Mhm.
rather than going through the courts. As you say, going through the courts is a long and tedious
Oh,
process.
we'll definitely go through that
Right,
method before, we-
if-
yeah,
if
the
necessary.
going to court is is the last resort, obviously.
But yeah, I'm wondering, as I said, when we tried to buy, when you all worked on buying the property, finally what made the purchase happen was the right person talking to the right person. And so it seems to maybe that's still the game that needs to be played now.
Mhm.
Well, and it may not be someone just listening to this. There was a third party who said, hey, wait a minute, why was this tax exempt while Wright State was no longer using it for a tax exempt purpose?
Mhm.
And so then they retroactively said it wasn't tax exempt, that is,
Right.
Well, so Wright State hadn't been getting tax bills.
right. They didn't knowingly hide this debt from us.
Oh, but you could make the case that they knowingly did not disclose that there was a pending ruling from the tax commissioner.
Oh, so the challenge of the status was before they signed.
Mhm.
Ah,
Oh, yeah.
well, then yes, okay, I didn't realize that.
Okay, anything else? We'll move on. I had some conversation with a representative from Bowser Mourner, again, who's doing our environmental site study, and she requested a little more information from the Greene County EMA department, which I was able to get for her, and hopefully that will
What
speed things
department is that?
up. The EMA, Emergency Management,
Okay.
Emergency Management
Authority?
Agency, yeah.
Agency.
And apparently they're the ones who funnel through any environmental spills that happen in the county, and actually funnel it through to Montgomery EMA, who has the database of those. So that was the question from Greene County, did they have any, anything on record for us? And it's gotta go to Montgomery County. We had the final letter from GeoPeer Corporation, and the final, hope you can read that all right, the final borings and depths and times and all the rest of that, and all were well within the standards.
That is on the foundation,
Mhm.
or the underground of the foundation of the new firehouse.
A reminder or a sign-up application for the planning and zoning workshop on the 6th of December. This is just a handout that was given to us at the NCCJ National Conference of Community and Justice of Greater Dayton dinner, annual dinner that was a table sponsored by MVRPC, and I was able to attend that last Tuesday. Does anybody know what NCCJ used to be? Not very long ago, but longer than my memory was.
No.
National Conference of Christians and Jews. Back in the day. There's a request from the Proclamation Department of South Lake, Texas, that we proclaim National School Choice Week coming up January 26th to February 1. We'll have to take that into consideration. I usually don't like to do proclamations that are outside of Greene County, outside of Miami Township, outside the state of Ohio, outside the
You can just drop that, I think.
eastern part of the country. Senior notes from the Senior Citizen Center, the La Trust Group Rural Development Forum, that I shared with all the members of the CDC. copy of a letter to Josue Salomon, manager of Village Yellow Springs, requesting they consider waiver of all or part of the tap-in fees for the new fire department, because it's a joint grassroots clippings from the OTA. Marshall Street, is that right? I'm trying to remember. Oh, that's right, this is the PUD application for the homing property behind us.
I look at that again.
And we have a invitation from homing somewhere in here to attend that planning commission meeting. MVRP's bi-yearly equity newsletter. It's interesting. Has a picture of one of the attendees.
The new acting chair,
The new acting chair, that's correct.
which is you.
Which is me. Here's a email from Eric Henry, the Greene County Economic Development Coordinator for Greene County, and he needed to have a report submitted by the end of October as to what we did with the grant that was given to us by the commissioners in, was it January, February? And so I asked him to resend that report, and he did, and I filled it out and sent it in. And as you may remember, we earmarked those funds to be matching funds for the Clifton Yellow Springs Bike Path Connector, of which
On deposit, on hold.
Oh, I haven't heard yet whether the Clean Ohio Fund has been granted, awarded to the connector or not, so we will find out. Notice of commencement, that was for the work on the fire station, that got done and recorded last week. Invitation from Kim Lehman of MVRPC for the Sustainability Roundtable that will be held Wednesday, December 4th at the MVRPC headquarters. November 1st, Greene County Board of Health meeting minutes. Oh, here's the invitation from Homing to attend the November 12th hearing. Information from regional planning on their last meeting. Ohio Cemetery Association spotlight newsletter online. An invitation from the Greene County Department of Development for their second annual Developers Breakfast to be held December 11th at 8:30. Same place as last year, Holiday Inn. Bless you. A newsletter from the League of Women Voters of Greater Dayton area, very timely since tomorrow's election day. And that, as they say, is that. Any further correspondence in or out this period? Hearing none. With the fire chief's permission, could we turn the floor over to our visitor for the evening?
Of course.
Sure, he has
important information.
He does have important
Thank you.
information for us.
I'll have 4 copies, so let you formally introduce.
This is Steve Ackley from the Ackley Insurance Group in Troy / Springfield, Ohio. And he's been our agent for health insurance for quite some time.
Well, most of you have been through this kind of a renewal before, so.
Well, that hair, it was all nice and brown.
I wasn't here.
November 1 is the,
Okay.
or December 1, I'm sorry, is the official
Mhm.
renewal date for the insurance. So let me just kind of summarize real quick how we've been doing it for the last 7 or 8 years anyway. The second page in, the first printed page there, our benefits right now are with National General Benefit Solution, that's the name of the insurance company. And we've got kind of a hybrid solution to providing health benefits to the employees. And what we did is we went to National General and bought a higher deductible policy to protect the township against major catastrophic type expenses. And then it was a $3,500 deductible, and that $3,500 deductible, we are self-insuring, the township is self-insuring that using a TPA out of Cincinnati called Claim Links. And they split that $3,500 deductible between the employee and the township. So the first couple pages there, or first 2 or 3 pages in, just kind of give you the highlights of the National General Plan, or the National General Benefit Solution Plan. $3,500 deductible is a $35 office visit. There's drug co-pays for drug cards and co-pays for urgent care visits and emergency care and things like that. Then I guess about the 4th page in is the actual schedule of benefits that the employees have. And they have a $250 deductible, and this is what we get through Claim Links. We're buying back that deductible and self-insuring that. So we have a $250 deductible for the employees. Once that $250 deductible has been met, then it goes into a 50-50 sharing arrangement where the township pays half the bill and the employee pays half the bill. And we keep doing that until the employee gets to a $1,500 out-of-pocket maximum. Well, if we're splitting it 50-50, then obviously the township's gotten $1,500 too. So that takes it to $1,500, and another $1,500 is $3,000, plus your $250 deductible is $3,250. Then the township would pick up the remaining $250 of that $3,500 deductible. So the township's liability is $1,750, the employee's liability is $1,750 with the deductible plus the co-insurance. And that's the way we've been doing it for several years. Over the years, Claim Links does a pretty good job, but over the years, the rates have continued to creep up a little bit. So it's become more of a factor, and when we look at this arrangement, of whether or not we want to continue to do this. And my suggestion is that, yes, we continue to do this for at least another year, but we're gonna need to change insurance companies from National General Benefit Solution, and I'm gonna suggest that we change it to Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield. If you flip to it'd be about the 5th or 6th page back, it's a table that looks like this, and that will be actually the renewal. You've got it there, Margaret. That's the renewal summary from National General Benefits. Find it. Everybody got it? Okay.
It says we recently notified.
Yeah, we recently notified you. And you'll see on skip all the way over to the right-hand side, column 7, your current rate right now on a monthly basis is $53.05. And you'll see what they want to jump it to next year, starting November 1 to $92.79. That's a 75% increase.
That's per month?
That's per month, correct. In my conversations with them, that was being driven by some potential claims, which those claims have come and gone. There was a pregnancy, and they were concerned about that. Their concern was the baby would not come before the renewal, and so they would have kind of an unknown claim. You know, babies can be extremely
It's not
expensive.
insurance, it's selling medical care.
Just for instance, I have a grandson that was born, he's 4 years old now. At childbirth, his claim is almost $2 million. So that can really put a hole in an insurance company's budget if they don't. So that's why in pregnancies, are something they really have to take a look at. I have gone back to them and asked them to reconsider that, and they said they are willing to reconsider it, but it's still gonna be down around a 20% renewal. And Anthem's giving us a better quote than that. So bottom line, I'm gonna still recommend that we switch over to Anthem. One nice thing about National General, that in the years past, they have, of that $5,305 that you're paying, they split that up into 3 different pots, so to say. One pot is for the administration expenses for the company to administer this whole thing. The second pot was for them to buy catastrophic stop-loss insurance to protect the plan. And then the third pot was to pay claims out of. Well, that money that's going into that pot, at the end of every year, if you haven't used that pot full of money, then they give you back. And so last, quite a few years, you guys have gotten a pretty nice refund back. I believe this last year it was around $8,000, $8,500, something like that, and the year before I think it was $78,000. So, when we leave National General, Anthem does not do that. Anthem gives you a fee going in up front, and that's, the fee is the fee. If they make money, that's what they're trying to do. If they lose money, they absorb it. The other part of this, the monthly cost that we have, we got last year we had this 5305, which was our fee to National General. But then you also had your claim links fee, which was the third-party administrator out of Columbus, or out of Cincinnati. They are up to a $300 a month administration fee, so there's just a flat $300 every month, whether you have any claims or not, just for them to administer the thing. And then your claims so far up until the pregnancy, and I have not got those numbers yet, but up until the pregnancy, your claims had cost you guys about $60 a month average of what the township was reimbursing. So it was, you had a really good year outside the pregnancy. What's that?
Those darn pregnant people.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, that's, that's just part of life.
Yeah.
And that's why we have
Big
insurance,
part
quite
of
honestly.
No pregnancy, no life.
Okay, if you flip past that first gray binder, one of the first pieces of legislation that President Trump signed into law when he took over was a piece of legislation that allowed associations to offer insurance to their members. So if you guys are members of, and I'm making this up because I don't know, I'm saying some kind of a firefighters association, that association could go together and put an insurance plan together for all of its members, maybe 10, 15, 20,000 members, and then take that block of people and go to the insurance company and say, we've got a group of 20,000 people we want you to give us a quote on, rather than you guys going individually and saying, we've got a group of 7 or 8 people you want us to give us a quote on. So those type of plans are called multiple employer welfare arrangements. It's a great concept. They were prohibited for many, many years, but they got signed into law once, last 2 or 3 years. One of the first organizations to jump on board onto that thing was the Chamber of Commerce. And it was actually, here in Ohio, it was the Southern Ohio Chamber of Commerce down in Cincinnati that first jumped on board this. It's expensive to get it set up. They had to have $500,000 in cash on hand to set aside into an untouchable fund in order for the state to even give them permission to proceed. So it's expensive, and that's why a lot of associations don't do it, because they don't have the money or the expertise to set it up. The Chamber did it about 3 years ago, and they've been running very successfully with it for the last 3 years. To get into it, you have to be a member of the Chamber. I talked to Chris this last week. He tells me that you guys, the township is a member of the Yellow Springs Chamber, and the Yellow Springs Chamber is a member of the Greater Southern Ohio Chamber Alliance, so we're good there. So I went to Anthem and asked them to give us a quote, and I apologize that I didn't have time to get a cleaner quote to put in there for you, but it'll be this one that, without all my yellow sticky things on it, but it'll be the one with the big X's over it. When I ask the insurance companies to quote me, they send me quotes on all 50 of their plans that they make available, so I have to kind of sort through and pick out the ones that that I want. So I've tried to cross off and highlight the one that we're looking at here. What I've tried to do is match up as close as I can to the current benefit plan the National General Benefits was given to us. So that's that option number 2 in that chart. And so we're looking at a $3,500 deductible plan from Anthem, same as what you have right now. The total out-of-pocket expense, which is how much the expenses have to be incurred before the plan will pay 100% of everything. So right now you've got a $3,500 deductible, and then it goes to 100% coverage after your deductible for everything except for your office copays and your drug copays. And so Anthem's doing that the same way, but you still have your copays, and so they have to put in some kind of an out-of-pocket max that says after all your deductibles and all your copays, everything, the most any employee could ever have to spend under that plan is gonna be that maximum out-of-pocket. So that's what you're gonna see as you go down this column. The first one is your network deductible, your in-network deductible. The next one is your out-of-network deductible. Then you've got your out-of-network, out-of-pocket expense, or your in-network out-of-pocket expenses, which is the $5,500. And just as a point of comparison, with National General, it was $7,150, so this is a better, lower out-of-pocket. Then you've got your out-of-pocket, out-of-network, out-of-pocket expenses. And then you've got your office visits. With Anthem, it's a $30 office visit. Under your Claim Links plan, it's a $35. So this is actually a little bit cheaper, $5 cheaper office visits. But for specialists, Anthem's is a $60 copay, and right now, under Claim Links, your specialist is a $50 office visit. And my suggestion is going to be, because Claim Links is getting expensive to administer, that we look at just adopting what Anthem's copay arrangements are and leaving it at that. So instead of having a 30 and a 50, you just have a 30 and a 60, because your primary care physician's going down $10, the specialist will go up $10. Emergency rooms, right now, Claim Links is buying that back to a $50 emergency room. Anthem charges a $400 copayment if you use the emergency room. That is the biggest expense nationwide and statewide. That's the biggest driver of expenses in any insurance plan, is your emergency room visits, where people will use an emergency room as an urgent care facility or as a primary care physician facility. I don't think there's been any abuses in here, I haven't seen that come through, but I would still suggest that that's an area you might wanna look at changing, because right now a $50 deductible is really no incentive not to use a doctor. If it only costs you $50 to go to an emergency room, why go anyplace else? So I would suggest adopting that $400 that Anthem puts in there as the copayment.
I think all our folks don't wanna spend any more time in an emergency room than they do in the
What
job.
they do already.
Yeah, I can't imagine that's a big problem. I mean, it's a big problem,
Yeah.
certainly, but
Well,
yeah.
like I said, I looked at your claims, and there has not been an abuse of that amongst the group, but I just think, well, if we're changing everything and tightening things up, that's an area that you probably should tighten up a little bit on,
Yeah,
just for the future.
I mean, I know my guys see the problem every day, so they do whatever they can not to go to the ER, so.
Yeah,
And we do have good urgent care facilities nearby, so.
Yeah.
So that's the same charge if you go your own or you're hauling in?
yeah,
It's
yes,
the same either way.
yes. Everything else is pretty much the same as what you have right now, because Claim Links really isn't changing, so, I mean, I say it's pretty much identical. I mean, Claim Links is gonna be the governing doctrine, the document that says how we pay claims. So, other than those couple areas that I suggested, which would be the specialist and the emergency room, everything else will stay the same. Cost-wise, if you flip to,
Compare real quick, the pharmacy, 'cause,
oh yeah, I'm sorry, my note was covering that, okay, yeah. Pharmacy right now, you have what they call a 20, 50, 75 copay. So you have $20 for generic, $50 for a preferred name brand drug, and then $75 for a non-preferred name brand drug. This one's gonna be a 15, so instead of 20, it'll be a $15 copay. Instead of a $45 preferred, or instead of a $50 preferred, it drops to a 45. And then instead of a $75, this one will be an 80 for non-preferred drugs. Your non-preferred drugs are gonna be the ones you typically see advertised on TV, the newest ones that are out. So if you're using generic or preferred drugs, your costs are gonna go down. If you're using a non-preferred name brand drug, your costs will go up by $5. And again, that's with Anthem. if you keep your claim links document the same as it is right now, claim links is buying that preferred back to 75. So that's another area that you might wanna look at changing if you want to. Okay, any other questions on that page?
I'm not entirely following, we go with Anthem, we're still using claim links for our, to oversee our shared,
Correct.
okay.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, all we're doing really is replacing National General with Anthem. National General uses Aetna as their network provider. So to be in network, you have to use an Aetna physician. Obviously, Anthem would use the Anthem physicians. Anthem's statewide network is a little bit broader. There's more doctors in the Anthem network than there's the Aetna network, so I don't think anybody's gonna have any problem in this area with that.
In our area, do you know, do they use both Premier and Kettering?
As of right now, yes, they do.
Yeah, I know they can change all the time,
They
you
change
hear it
all
on
the time,
TV,
but
but,
yeah. right now, yeah.
alright.
Or was our doctors on the same thing, and can we stay with the same doctor? We have
You
to
should
find-
be able to, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't know who any of the doctors are that you guys are using, so I couldn't check that for you ahead of time, but, there shouldn't be any problem. So, if you flip the next page, we give you the monthly costs. The total rate's gonna be a little bit wrong there, but we're comparing apples to apples, so the census that's showing there with the family statuses and all that is identical to what your National General renewal was. So we're looking at the $90, what was that, the $9500 number. Yeah, or 9279, which is the National General renewal number. We're comparing that to the 3379 number with Anthem, so significant difference. And even if you compared it to last year's premium, right now the township's paying $53.05, and Anthem's coming in at $33.79, so significant savings even over this last year.
$2,000 savings a month.
Now, like I say, these numbers are gonna be a little bit off, because the employee that just had the baby, he's still, when I rated all this, I rated him as just an employee and spouse coverage, so the baby's not been added on here yet, so that total number's gonna come up some. But this is the same way that everybody else was rating it, so we're looking apples to apples to compare it. So any questions on any of the medical stuff so far up to that point? Okay, the next page is the Southern Ohio Chamber Alliance participating business acknowledgement. And there's one thing I want to point out on paragraph 2. The chamber charges a fee, in addition to having to be a member of the chamber charges a fee to administer this whole thing. So built into this cost, or not actually, in addition to that cost that we just looked at, the chamber is gonna charge you one time per year, $48 for every employee that you have. So you got 7 employees on the plan, so you'd be charged, you get a bill for $336 at some point in time throughout the year. Just a one-time fee to pay the chamber to administer this whole thing for you.
I'm Karen.
Fiscal officer get 10% of everything? That's a joke.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, you're being recorded.
It's only been 1%.
Just clarify that.
It is 0%.
Okay, so that's my recommendation on the medical. The last page is dental. We're with Superior Dental on the dental insurance, and they've given us another very good renewal. The rates have stayed identical to what they were last year. No changes in benefits, so my recommendation is with Superior that we stay there. We've got other companies that we can use, Delta and a couple others, but Superior's got one of the broadest networks of dentists in this area, and the rates are very competitive, so those are my recommendations, that we switch the underlying insurance over to Anthem, Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and that you renew with Superior for another year.
I'd entertain a motion to accept Steve's recommendations.
I so move.
Mr. Hollister moves, I'll second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, may we vote please?
Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
Mr. Mutcher?
Yes.
You guys can decide amongst yourself what you wanna do with the claim links,
Mhm.
changes that I've recommended.
Okay.
I mentioned to Chris ahead of time that this Anthem thing has about at least 50, maybe 75 pages worth of documents to sign on it. So I will get back with Chris at a later date, and I don't want you guys all have to sit here and wait for me to fumble through the pages and find all the places to sign and point. So I'll take care of that next week.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions from anybody?
I didn't understand how is the Chamber of Commerce influencing what's happening or not? This year?
Define influencing, what do you mean by
Well,
that?
I mean, you said that are we going to be a part of that pool?
Yes.
And
You are.
that's part of what the rate?
Yeah, so you will have to stay a member of the Yellow Springs Chamber of Commerce.
But the Yellow Springs Chamber isn't the one.
No,
really
no,
doing
it's the large,
whole
I understand, it's
association.
southwestern
Yeah.
Ohio, but.
Yeah, they have a whole subsidiary organization set up down in Cincinnati that's administering this whole thing.
But that, how is that changing the rates?
Because when Anthem is giving us quotes and everything, they're quoting Miami Township
Okay,
as a 50,000 person group
I got that,
rather than a
okay.
7 person
So,
group.
but now, the previous carrier, were they quoting based on the?
No, they were
No.
quoting, they are not part of that township, or they are part of that chamber.
Oh, okay, so.
That started out with a partnership with Anthem. Anthem kicked in a bunch of money to the chamber to help them meet their
I got it.
requirements to get started.
So that's only available that way?
Correct, although this year, they've asked United Healthcare to come into the chamber as well. And last year, they invited Medical Mutual to come in. So now there are 3 companies that are participating in this chamber product. But those are the only 3
So there's
companies.
some competition
Yeah,
there.
and I had all 3 companies quoted, and Anthem's came in with the best overall rate for you guys. Okay,
All right, thank you, Steve.
thank you guys.
Appreciate it. All right, we shall move along. Chief, I believe you were,
75% increase.
yeah.
Okay, since the last board meeting, we've had 35 EMS incidents, 3 of which went back down. 19 fire incidents, 4 of which went back down. That is not correct.
No?
We did 6 fire safety inspections, not 26. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, good.
I first put on there, in case anyone was wondering, you weren't, when the BP had their tanks pulled, the mystery tanks, their orphan tanks pulled, they have received their tests back and everything was clear, no contamination, no slip affected, which was what Danny expected and was very good for Dennis and Jake. So,
Yeah.
very good. Staffing, Captain Ayers returned to work on Sunday and was greeted with several complex emergency calls. That's what he gets for 5 days off, 5 shifts off. And then Alex and his wife Caitlin had their baby on the 27th, Cecilia Elaine. And on that topic, I did request an executive session for matters of personnel.
You want it now or after?
Whatever works.
Yeah, well, that's well. As long as you brought it up.
It'll be quick.
I move that we go into an executive session, purpose of personnel.
You have to be more specific.
Personnel leave.
Okay.
How's that?
All right.
Is there a second?
I second.
Aye. We are meeting.
We'll get it together.
All right, we will reconvene in public session at roughly
6:48.
About 5:48.
48.
5:48.
6:48.
That's
Last
set us
Like
up
last
back.
week, so.
Unprepared to make a motion
And Mr. Hollister will make a motion as a result of the executive session work.
that we authorize an NML,
FM.
FMLA.
Family Medical Leave Act, leave for Alex Went for up to 2 weeks, which would be basically
Starting November.
from November 16 through the month, because of early birth of his, and medical complications with his child.
I'll second. Any further discussion regarding that motion? Hearing none, may we vote please?
Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
Mr. Reacher?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. And the Wednesday.
Yes.
The only other thing I put on there is, you know, let you guys hear things. A couple incidents we've had recently, just a roundup of those. The lost person search for Peg Champagne, a little detail in there. There was a vehicle crash on West Hyde Road on October 27th. The patient was care flighted to Hunter Valley Hospital from. And yesterday, to welcome Nate back, they had a hay fire on Fairfield, 150 bales of hay on fire on a trailer.
On the trailer.
On the
When did
trailer.
it catch fire?
So it's a spontaneous
Molding.
combustion?
The theory actually is they had a tarp over the hay in the wagon, but it was flopping. And they think that it was rubbing against the tires, which caused friction and heat, which ignited the hay.
Or ignited the tarp and.
Yeah.
How much water do you have to
But that
throw on
must
that?
They went through 2 tankers. Our tanker, or that was Bath Township tanker, which is like 2,000 gallons, 2,100 gallons, and then Zia Township tanker, so,
Yeah.
which is about the same, so.
How does this work? Okay?
Yeah, I mean, it all worked out. They were out there for 2 hours.
Mhm.
The county road department, or highway, whatever they call it, highway department, came out and helped push it all off the road because it was on the road.
This was on Fairfield?
Fairfield, between Snip and
Right, curve.
Curl,
Wow.
Carroll.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes that hay will burn forever, and you gotta get in there and break it up.
Yes, and that's what they basically had to do, was
Yeah.
kind of get in there. Luckily, it was bales
Oh, it was?
and not the big rolls,
Oh,
because
yeah.
those are a nightmare and a half. I don't know if they do hay, I mean, still do, that's, yeah, they should.
Yeah, they do all different ways.
Yeah, the rolls are a pain,
Mhm.
Yeah,
but you can
roll.
actually unsnip them and then
Unroll.
unroll them, which is
Yeah.
nice. Not, however, as one of my trainees once thought was a good idea, use a chainsaw to get into the,
Ooh, that gunk up everything.
oh yeah, remember that chain takes things back into the, I would actually bring that chainsaw out to John Finn, who said, between cigarette puffs, what kind of idiot did this? Wasn't me, John. So anyway, thanks to everyone who helped us out. The lost person search has an impressive list of everyone who came to help search for,
Man,
search for her,
that's
so.
amazing amount of
Uh,
folks who.
Yeah, we had a heck of a response to that, which was really nice, so. And actually, on 2 out of the 3 incidents, Zia City came up and helped us out with one, well, the first one, 2 of their drones.
Mhm.
One of the drones.
Xenia City, not Xenia Township.
Yeah, Xenia City came up on the lost person search, both police and fire, they both have drones with infrared capability. And then on the vehicle crash, there was a thought that the guy was saying, I mean, he was a little adamant, but was saying there was another patient. So they spent, after the helicopter took off, they spent about an hour with the troopers and the drone checking the whole area to make sure there was no.
Oh, somebody hadn't wandered off.
Yeah, or was ejected or something,
Yeah.
but, turned out, I mean, unless they were really ejected, 12,000 feet or something, there was no one there, so that was good.
Hmm, yeah.
But, it's nice that Xenia's got those drones, but we have one now, so watch out Xenia. So ours doesn't have infrared capability, Jeremy's very upset, but I told him he'd have to deal for now. So we can do daylight searches, but. So there you go, we also, for the Peg Champagne thing, also had a helicopter from State Patrol,
Mhm.
their flitter and stuff. So yeah, there you go, that's us,
Okay.
thank you very much.
We are going to take this opportunity tonight. Mark couldn't join us, but hopefully he'll be back soon. But I think it's time that we adopt the resolution of necessity, one of the forms from the county that's required to get on the ballot. The ballot for the primary is going to be held March 3rd, 2020. to put a renewal for our 3.8 mil levy that's currently in force, as it were. And I'm trying to think if there's anything new in this. It's for 5 years, the same way ours is now, and it's for tax years 2020 to 2024.
And it's for fire,
For, yes,
fire and rescue.
continuing operation of Miami Township Fire and EMS service. This is resolution 2019-44. I'd entertain a motion for adoption of this resolution.
I move that we put the 3.8 mil renewal levy on the ballot.
I just want to make sure that we understand, this is a resolution that requests the certification from the county auditor pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 570503. And basically what it's doing is we're asking David Graham, the auditor, to certify that Miami Township has the financial wherewithal, the value in all the property that's being taxed in order to fund this levy for 5 years out. So that's what this is.
So you needed,
This
this
is
isn't, so this is, should I reword this?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope, you got it. It's just, this is the first of 3 steps, resolution of necessity, and it'll come back, and then we'll have a resolution to proceed,
Okay, then,
and then we have to have formal legal ballot language.
so I'm moving adoption of resolution of necessity
Mhm.
for our 3.8 mil renewal levy.
2019-44. Okay, I'll second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, may we vote please?
Mr. Hollister,
Yes.
Mr. Mutcher,
Yes. This is the original copy.
Thank you, we appreciate the continued funding.
And
Well,
everyone's,
it's not-
everyone's front, and
It's a
everyone who has a
renewal.
fire will appreciate it.
It's a renewal, so we actually, I contacted David Graham about what a replacement would do.
Mhm.
And, for 8% more income,
Mhm.
it would cost homeowners like 23.5% more.
Yeah, I remember, we talked about that, that's the,
Shazam.
yeah, that's the real conundrum of renewals versus replacement,
Yeah.
so I'm glad we're able to go into this as a renewal and not have to ask our, especially hard hit, the agricultural and basic residential folks.
Yeah, those are the two who get it.
Yeah.
Big time, so.
Okay, anything else? Colin?
Nada.
Okay.
I mean,
The new firehouse report.
Wait, have we voted on that?
Did we vote on that, Margaret? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? I think, I don't know, I think I said your names.
yeah, no, she did.
Okay. It's official.
Mhm.
New firehouse report. The only thing I have is the pad is ready, staked out, nice and flat, ready to put in. Foundations perhaps this week, towards the end of the week. We'll have a meeting on Thursday and things may be moving along by then, so I'm not positive, but that's the next step. After that, there'll be the sanitary and the stormwater lines will be put in.
Just, I stopped by there, late morning, and there was one fellow sort of scattering a gravel pile, and he saw me and he sort of came at me with the bobcat, and like I wanted to talk to him, and I had to wave, no.
It was coming at you with a bobcat.
That's the prevailing wage coordinator, get him.
There you go.
Well, I'm glad you made it out alive. Anything else? All right, let's move to the cemetery road, and our sexton's here this evening.
Yes. Well, we had 3 burials since the last meeting. We had a full burial, and ashes up here, and 1 ashes in 50. We have 2 pending up here.
Really? pretty nice, I thought.
Mm-hmm. Kept us out of there for a whole day though.
All right.
They were quite a while. Let's see, bases should be done Wednesday.
You said vases?
Base,
Base.
Basically,
headstone bases should be done Wednesday.
not baseball.
Are the ashes in the grave that you moved the headstone in?
Which,
Remember the Stephanie Waxter?
stones there.
I know the
there's
stones
stone there, but actually I'll put them there.
Are they there?
No, they
Okay.
will be,
All right.
right in front of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't want to tell the woman they were in before they were in.
I'll do it Thursday.
Uh,
And, that's all I have.
Okay. I talked with Dan the other day, and I gave him the preliminary authorization to do some research on replacing one of his pieces of equipment, whichever piece, mowers, cemetery mowers, he thinks is necessary, because they're getting to be a little long in the tooth. What are we talking about? One of them is a 92? I can't wait.
The 94,
94?
and the other one's a 2001. That's probably the one we should replace. It's the cemetery one. It's more work.
So, he'll,
So that will be coming up.
gather some
I'll gather some,
quotes,
yeah, quotes.
probably in the 25,000-30,000, where are we with those?
Oh,
You went to
I don't think
farm science?
I don't think
I
20.
didn't memorize all the
You
prices on
I didn't go this year, but I don't think more than 20.
Yeah.
Because we came in at, when we bought that, it was around 13, so it's probably gonna be around 18.
Is that with or without four-wheel drive?
That would be without.
Mm-hmm.
Really, four-wheel drive's nice, but you can't mow any stones with it because of the way it tracks. You
Mhm.
go in, it doesn't come out the same. It's a little tricky.
You're not usually mowing when you need forward.
Right.
I mean, if you need four-wheel drive, you don't wanna be in there.
Right,
And we still have a four-wheel drive mower.
yeah. Okay. All right, well, obviously we won't need one for a while, but it gives us an opportunity to take a good look at what's out there.
Mm-hmm. And it'll have to be front now, we just, they just look so much better for us in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, anything else for the cemetery? How's those roads? How's those old
Our roads look good. I got some potholes.
Oh,
I did.
how'd you get potholes
Oh,
this time?
he's got a list.
Well, let's just see.
I think they look
No.
good.
Snip in Houston and Golden Willow, they look okay. Branham got some holes.
Brandon's got potholes.
Jacoby, Spillane, East Hyde, and Major Hyde. I never keep those two. What, did you address the tree that the writing center wanted you to address, or is it
I
that one?
talked to, it's the,
Is it that one that goes like that?
yeah, down close to the, closer to their.
Yeah, so they got a branch going over the fence, but
And
the
that's the
other,
one in question, the
the
other
branch
one's
is
falling.
straight.
That's why I said, should we just wait a little bit?
Yeah.
Maybe Mother Nature will help. That's
On Grinnell Circle, there's a tree,
in the back,
huh?
on the back drive, on the back section. Back straight
On the
away.
circle or
No,
on the?
On the circle at Leventhal's house?
Yeah,
Front of
right there,
Leventhal's house.
the dead ash standing,
It's on the ground.
part of it,
Oh, yeah, okay.
part of it.
That's the one. Is that on our right away?
Yeah.
She asked me the other day, when
I
she
talked
stopped
to her before, and I told her we're gonna take them down, so they get them,
Yeah.
so they can, so. Get this other stuff out of the way now.
Yeah, yeah, it's not hard to do anything. So, Larkins and Tobias, they look good. Harbison looks bad. You got halfway up, you got a branch that's
Was.
sticking out that looks like a spear.
Was,
Was? Okay.
it's on the ground now.
And then my tree further up, is it gone?
Your tree.
Yeah, the tree I had to go out and cut up and pull off the road while you were sunning on the beach last weekend or wherever.
I was riding the train.
Whatever.
That guy at Hudgel's?
Yeah,
No, it's still there.
let's go.
First thing in the morning.
Let's go. I told the sheriff, be gone, 'cause my man would be out there.
Somebody called me on that.
No, they didn't call you, they called me. 'Cause all they got off of you was voicemail.
What's
I
that?
don't care, it's fine. I'm just giving you a hard time. So it would've been nice. Don't you ever take road tours
Yeah.
anymore?
I took one this morning, I thought I knew they were there. Somebody on the road though. It's actually his tree. In reality, it's his tree, it came out of his woods, all we had to do is clean up the road.
Yeah.
The trees, it's up to him. The tree, it's in his yard, it's not ours. Came out of his woods, all we take is open up the road and pick up what's across the road in our ditch. But we'll pick it all up,
Really nice.
we're nice, that's right.
Yeah, we are nice. South River, you back to those stop signs that were leaning like crazy again. Just thought I'd remind you. Kyle looks nice. North River, what's the,
He was supposed to be in there today. Enoch,
yeah,
he'd already been there.
I noticed he cut him down.
He cut one, but yeah, he done something, I talked to him this morning, and Joe's got him doing some other stuff too.
Yeah,
But he said they were heading over there today.
I'm gonna keep Joe happy. None of those phone lines are gonna get in
I
a
don't
problem?
think so, I don't
Okay.
think so. Yeah, I located for him, and he didn't understand it, I said, well, you don't wanna hit one of them. Of course, I think they're deep enough where he's not gonna bother them, but if I took him out with the cross tube,
Mm-hmm.
I might get it.
Mhm.
And that's why I didn't get any closer to him.
Yeah, 'cause
When
he's only
he's
going
doing
down
fine.
4 inches or something,
Yeah,
right?
he's just gonna blow the surface, so what he's
Yeah.
doing is gonna be fine. But I had it located anyway, just in
Yeah,
case.
good. Tanyard, obviously your friends threw a couple $1,000 worth of stone in there, right? Was that us, or was that Thompson's? Thompson?
On Tanya?
In the pit.
Oh, that wasn't us, that was somebody Josh that got dumped in. The concrete rock,
Mm-hmm.
well, they can dump that there.
Yeah, I know, I'm just,
Yeah, that's all through Josh.
mm-hmm.
I go by and I see any piles of stuff there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know, what can you do?
And I caught a guy in there with a dump truck once, and I stopped and talked to him, he came through the field, he didn't bother opening the gates, 'cause he didn't have a key.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, so there's tire tracks, everybody and their brother says, oh,
That's the way they
just
do
dump
it.
here.
Mm-hmm.
But
So-
it's their property. It
Yeah.
is theirs.
Swimming pool looks good, William and Mary looks good, Bryan Park, so got one hole down where that culvert, or that.
It drops, yeah.
Yeah,
And
that
right,
drain
the culvert, yeah,
Huh?
there's a
Yeah.
whole right culvert.
So you'll take care of those.
Well, I get some coal patch.
Anything else?
No,
Done?
no, I've got plenty, thanks.
We'll see about that. Fiscal officer's report.
It's time
It's
for our
getting dark out, isn't it? Jeez.
bi-weekly amendment of a permanent appropriations. This week, resolution 2019-43, whereas it is an ongoing process to accurately appropriate funds to the needs of the township, now therefore the trustees authorize an amendment to the following permanent appropriations. The fire fund, we increased the property insurance by $910 to cover the cost of the new tanker being insured.
Right.
And we increased the phone line and road and bridge by $200.
So the new tanker is the Bath Township tanker?
Right.
I would move adoption of this resolution.
Second. Any further discussion regarding that? Not really, but on the phones, I noticed we have another notice of suspension of service or something for AT&T, your friends.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to chat with them yet?
Oh, yeah.
How was that chat?
Pretty useless.
I see.
They send, they don't send, they're supposed to be sending invoices via email to pay that bill. We do not receive those invoices. We only receive notices of disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
I spent a considerable amount of time on the phone with AT&T, and then I moved to the option of you chat with someone via online, you know, like that way. And, they failed miserably to accomplish what we need. And I just basically
Get a
just,
blood
I just
pressure
hung up
cuff
on him, I
in there.
couldn't take it anymore. Cause after conversation, repetitive, please send me the invoice and stop just sending me notices of disconnection. Okay, I got it. And so then he hooked me up with the Grinnell Mill website, or, email address. Like, that's not even close to what I've been talking to you about. I gotta go. So, whatever, I'm paying that, and, if anybody wants to take it over, they can. I can't seem to get what we need from them. This is not the first time I've been to this.
I've heard it, I
I
can
went
vouch
to
for her,
this
I've
to the
heard
point
her.
where I said, just disconnect us, I don't care. I couldn't get a bill from them, so we did disconnect. And then we decided to go ahead and go back to it again, and it's the same thing. I beg of you, anybody, you do it. I can't do it anymore. I
Okay,
can't deal with
I have a solution for you, and I will give it to you tomorrow. You'll be able to dream
it.
sweet dreams tonight, knowing there's a
Money,
solution.
donuts, what is it?
So you get donuts on the mind.
Only
Alright, anyway,
communicate
I'm
by,
sorry, but you asked and I had to tell you.
by, mail where it's, the recipient has to sign for the mail and then.
Certified letters.
Good luck.
Okay, anything else, fiscal officer?
No, I'm happy.
I like it, AT&T has switched from, it used to be you call them and it would take an hour before they answered you, right? You'd be there on hold, and now they answer you and they don't say anything worthwhile. I don't know which is worse, probably
Speaking
this
of,
system.
speaking of an hour, zoning inspectors report, Richard?
It's brief, I went to the Fall OTA zoning conference on Friday, and I hadn't gone for a while because they basically didn't have sessions that were relevant to what was going on here. But this time they had some information. You know, we've been updating our zoning code, and there was a session talking about updates and things that should be considered when that's taking place. The other, talking about, again, they're always emphasizing, you know, the legal procedures for BZA hearings. And then the final one was that the state now has 3 separate laws for nuisances. They have one for cars, one for buildings, and one for debris. And they're all slightly different, but they've tweaked them, and they're apparently easier to go through the process than they used to be. For whatever that's worth. We haven't pursued any nuisances recently, but I was glad to be up to date on that one. As far as routine zoning, I don't have anything to report.
Okay. Any questions or comments or critiques or fashion statements for Richard tonight? You are really dressed up tonight, man.
Yeah, I had to quick take off the outside layer and put on a new outside layer.
You got a
I
hot
worked
date
right
coming
up
up
till-
after the meeting or something?
Good for the public.
Yes, you do. Yeah. Somebody write that down.
Somebody write that down. See how long it lasts.
Okay, thank you, Richard. for that brief interlude. Any new business before the board this evening? Any old business before the board this evening? We're gonna have to make some, because we need a new firehouse and new something. Well, hearing nothing else, I will adjourn the meeting by proclamation, or how do I do it? Acclamation?
Acclamation means we have a vote, this is just
Guess I'm the point.
declaration.